Well, guys, it's been a little bit over week one of No Porn, No Fap. I was supposed to be updating you guys every week, but I forgot. And it's been about 10 days, 11 days actually. You know, I had some ups and downs that first week, but mostly it was ups. It was pretty good. I had a few cravings whenever I was out, you know, sleeping in my truck. I went up to, where was that? I can't even remember where I've been. Wyoming, and I stayed 2 nights, and it was just fine. With me, and I think with a lot of people, one of the main keys to being able to be successful at giving up an addiction is to find something to keep you busy, like a hobby, you know, some sort of replacement, something that's good for you, not another bad addiction, because that can also happen. And for me, I guess it's rock climbing and kind of starting to hang out with an old friend of mine, which is terrifying to me, hanging out with new people, because I've just been so jaded from my past relationships that I just don't want to get to know any new people or even get to know any people from my old life. But he's a good guy. I can't just shutter myself in and be a hobbit all my life. I gotta get out and talk to people and not be so cut off from the rest of the world. It's not good for a person. I do still, you know, I talk to family and everything, but my family and my wife's family, they're not that big, and I don't see them a whole lot anyways. And it's good to have acquaintances that I see on a regular basis outside of family, because that's what I was using. I was using family for a long time as that, like, oh, I'm just fun. I still talk to people. Look at all these family members I'm talking to. But you know, if it wasn't for my wife, I don't know. I don't know if I would have been talking to anybody. I'm trying to make an effort, and I feel like it's always good to be like when I hang around people who have a good attitude, like the guy I've been hanging around, he's just got a good attitude. He's real positive, and I feel like whenever you hang around people who are positive and have a good attitude, a good outlook on life, that, you know, that can rub off on you. And it's good for me to be hanging out with somebody with an attitude like that whenever I'm trying to give up an addiction. So and then I've been doing some rock climbing, trying to get into that, which that's an excellent hobby because I can also get in shape, which I've been trying to do as well. I guess you could consider getting in shape as another hobby. By the way, guys, these are not like city or county roads. This is a private road. This is for an oil field company. So as far as my filming, I'm not even looking at the phone, guys. I'm just talking into it. I'm looking at the road, so don't worry about that. But it's pretty out here, right? This is beautiful out here in west of Amarillo, kind of actually northwest of Amarillo. I went down 18 miles of roads like this, going about 15 miles an hour. So it took me an hour to go to get to the rig off the main road. These roads, they just seem like they go on forever. But you know, I don't mind. It's nice to just slow down sometimes in life and enjoy the scenery and stop and smell the roses, as they say. So there was one thing I was wanting to talk about. I did a little bit in my shorts, but I noticed on some of the videos I was watching that had to do, especially with NoFap, but also with people who were giving up porn, you know, their porn addiction, that you have a certain community of guys who kind of blow up the comments. And I'm not real big on this whole community of NoFap people who, a lot of them, I'm just gonna say it, they do not like women. They don't care for women at all. And they've kind of come up with some little rules for their little club. And I don't like rules whenever your club, your whatever the hell you want to call it, community, is made up of a bunch of people who are completely anonymous. I don't even know their names. I know nothing about them. It just feels fake, guys. I'm just gonna say it feels fake. and I'm gonna do it the way that works for me. As far as a community, if you're going to do it in a community sense, I would recommend seeing people in person for some sort of group therapy. The online stuff is going to fill your head with a lot of crazy ideas. I know, because I've read the comments, and we all know that the loudest people get the most attention. I do feel like it has changed my attitude. It's definitely freed up my time. I've been finding that I'm having more time throughout the day to do things, and it's not giving me anxiety anymore, because used to, it was such a, I would just call it a chore. It was something, it was an obligation. It was an obligation I felt like I had to do, you know, at least once or twice during the day, usually not at a set time, just at a set predicament. So for instance, if I was by myself in the truck and I had time, or by myself at home, or in the bathtub, it was just all these scenarios I would find myself in where I didn't even really want to look at porn and rub one out, but you know, that little voice in the back of your head is just like, go ahead and get it over with. You'll be glad that you did. And I never thought that I could just sit in a bathtub and just enjoy it without doing that. And I've been able to do that since quitting, and it's nice. It reminds me of whenever I was little, before I was addicted to porn, and I could just sit there in the tub and just enjoy the hot water. It's nice. It's nice to be able to get back to that, to be able to get back to something I thought I would never get back to. And it's crazy that, I mean, I'm talking about something that was 30 years ago, from the time I was 10 years old and younger. That feeling. So it definitely has freed my mind up, and I feel like I'm a little more positive. And I don't know, I wish I was a little more in touch with my emotions like women are. I think guys, because of the way most of us guys were raised, we just don't know how to express ourselves. You know, women know how to do it so much better, because it was like something they were kind of told to do growing up. You know, you talk about your feelings as a girl, but with guys, it's more or less just like, shut up and quit complaining and don't bring that stuff up. You know, just don't bring it up. And you know, and my parents didn't say that to me. If they're watching this, they didn't say that, but it was the sense I got from everybody, from society, I guess you could say, was just that as a young boy, a young man, you just don't bring up your feelings, and if you do, you might be seen as weak and people might laugh at you. So being vulnerable as a boy is terrifying. And now I'm 41 years old, and putting these videos out obviously is making me extremely vulnerable, but I'm to the point in my life where I don't really care about that anymore. And that's kind of why I gave up porn. And to be honest, I mean, whenever I quit, that's like the first time I seriously thought about it. And I saw that conversation with Louis C.K. and Theo, and Louis was just talking about how much better he feels now and how his relationships are better. Life is just so much better, and it's like, man, that's what I want. And I don't know, I just never heard anything like that before. And I will tell you this, I did shut out a lot of stuff about porn. Anytime I would see a video pop up related to porn addiction, I just was like, no, I'm not watching that. I don't need to see that. I don't need to feel bad about my addiction. And I'm glad that I'm in a place I'm in, because before, whenever I was addicted to alcohol and I was working 1,000,000 hours a week, I was just tired and I was pissed off and I had a really crappy attitude. I don't think I would have been able to quit porn. It just, to me, my porn addiction, I've said it on here a few times, it's the final boss. It's the addiction I've lived with by far the most out of any addiction. And I feel like I have to be in a certain place to be strong enough to give it up. And I'm finally there. And I'm glad that I'm able to do it, because Yeah, it's just, it was pointless looking at porn. It was one of those things that just gives you a kind of like a little bit of a high, and it was definitely ruining my sex life. It was making it to where I just didn't want to have sex sometimes. It's like, no, I got what I need on this phone. And I recognize now, I should say, that that's a bad thing. That's a bad place to be. And before, I just thought, it's no big deal. My wife won't mind. And yeah, she does. She just doesn't really vocalize it so much, because I think she wants people to be able to quit an addiction whenever they feel like it's right for them. That's kind of how she's always been. She's always been a great example, and she's always stood by my side, but she's never pushed me into something, because when you try to push people into stuff, especially stopping an addiction, it can backfire. I still haven't told her about this. I'm waiting a couple more weeks, and she's probably watching these videos. And if you are watching the videos, ta-da! I've done it. I've quit my porn addiction. But I don't want to get too carried away. I don't want to get too cocky about it. That's it, guys. I'll update you on week 2. And thank you for watching the video. Please remember to subscribe. I have 0 subscribers. And I have like hardly any views, hardly any likes. And that's to be expected from a channel where one guy is trying to give up his porn addiction and his addiction to masturbating. I think it's one of those things. People just kind of turn their head from, because I know I did. I turned my head from it for 30 years. 20 years.